Hey there, Dean with Six Sigma Fitness. I want to talk to you for a quick second, and actually, I want to send a message out to really all the coaches and trainers, and as well as clients out there that don't have coaches and trainers yet, about what exercise and fitness really means and what it's supposed to be. Unfortunately, too often in our industry, trainers will typically work with a client, interview them, discuss their goals and objectives. 90% of everybody that wants to train and work out is doing it for some level of health and fitness that almost always has some sort of weight loss, body composition component to it. That's the main reason that most people are training for. Yes, a lot of us train for health and longevity and to be able to move as we age, but the reality is we all want to continue looking good, and we all want to continue being at a normal, healthy weight. And the first focus then is always on writing a exercise program that addresses some specific aspect of their physicality, getting them stronger, getting their muscles more toned, getting their body shaped in a certain way. And you will hear that always. I want to take some weight off my butt. I want to put some weight on my butt. I want to add some girth to my shoulders. My back, I think, is weak. Whatever it may be, I want to take some inches off my waist. So there's always this physical component that we're after. And the reality is, all coaches and trainers typically write programs to address those physical components, which makes a ton of sense because we're looking from the outside in and trying to fix the problem from the outside in. But the reality is we're missing the big picture. For a individual, for a client that has not attained optimal body composition yet, so in other words, they are still considered overweight or obese, they need to obtain optimal body composition before they move on to other aspects of their physicality in terms of performance and the look of their physical body, their tone, their size, their athleticism. And in order to do that, we have to stop looking and program from the outside in and program from the inside out. In other words, the body became unbalanced. In other words, too much fat, too heavy, became unbalanced by something that happened to it that changed its internal chemistry. So I'm going to give you an example. We know that everything that ails us usually is best addressed with a pill, right? We have a headache, where's the aspirin? We have inflammation, where's the ibuprofen? I've got a cough, a bacterial cough, where's my antibiotic? We address everything with the knowledge that there is some aspect of our chemistry that needs to be changed. Same thing happens with nutrition and diet. We need to lose weight nutritionally. What do we look for from a diet? From a diet perspective, we look to change what we put inside our bloodstream, what we put in our mouth that goes into our bodies that changes our chemistry. So everything we do is always with that thought process in mind. We just do it subliminally. We don't really think about the fact that an aspirin is changing our chemistry. It's just get rid of my headache. So when we talk about the physicality of a fitness or exercise program for an individual, we need to take a look at what their goals are. If they're already at optimal body composition, if a guy has already attained 15% body fat and it's optimal for his size and look, then we can start programming for the external body. Start programming for bigger shoulders, bigger deltoids, better pectorals, smaller waist. We can start programming for better speed, more performance, more endurance, whatever it might be that the goals and objectives are. And that's an outside type of program. But even that is affecting the internal chemistry. The internal chemistry is somehow changing. You're changing lactate threshold. You're changing different things in internal chemistry. But we can program from the outside in there more effectively and get the internal chemical changes we need to get to the objectives we want. But When we're trying to get to normal body weight, we have to forget about programming from the external and program from the internal. In other words, what can be done that'll change the internal chemistry of that client that will actually help them lose weight quicker and easier? They became overweight because their chemistry was changed. I'll give you an example. In Western societies, typically we have high glucose diets, high carbohydrate diets. Those high carbohydrate diets tend to put weight gain on us. They especially put weight gain around our torso and our hips, or the suprailiac region as it's called, and give us that kind of that muffin top or that little bit of roll around the stomach. And unfortunately, that has happened because we have bombarded the body with glucose. We've bombarded the body with an insulin response, and that internal chemistry has caused us to gain weight in certain parts of our body that we now want to get rid of. Well, we've got to reverse out the chemical process. Unfortunately, we've pretty much been unsuccessful in any kind of spot reduction. So although the body fat tells us a lot about what's happening inside of our bodies chemically, we have a lot of scientific knowledge about where we deposit body fat and what that tells us about what's happening inside the body. But that gives us clues about what to address chemically. And then the body is going to reverse that process in the way that it's genetically predisposed to do, based on your lifestyle, your habits, your nutrition, exercise. But we need to address that from the inside out. We need to take a look and see what is it this person needs to change. If they are putting body weight on in a way and they're giving us clues in their dietary logs that they are eating a high carbohydrate, high glucose diet, then we need to address that problem. And if we're going to write a fitness and exercise program, we need to address that problem from the inside out. In other words, how do we increase glucose uptake that right now, because they've been bombarded with glucose and the insulin response has been dulled, they've now become insulin resistant. How do we get insulin sensitivity working again? That's got nothing to do with whether I have a person do curls to make their biceps bigger, or I have them do deadlifts to use a lot of muscle strength for lower body and for hip hinging, kettlebell swings, things like that, where we're addressing outside in. This is addressing inside out. What can I do from a perspective that'll make my insulin receptors more sensitive and get my mitochondria, which are the engines of the muscle tissue, to take up more glucose, so that stuff isn't being stored. So I'm reversing the process now. I've identified the process, I've identified the problem, and defined it. I'm measuring it at this point. And once I've measured it, I'm analyzing the data to figure out what I can do to improve it, and after that I'll control it, something we call DMAIC. But the problem has to be addressed from the inside out. In the case of insulin resistance, I would address it with physical exercises that we call metabolic resistance training. Metabolic resistance training elicits a certain chemical and physiological response in the body that helps uptake a lot of glucose into a lot of muscle tissue. It helps make the insulin receptors more sensitive. It causes the mitochondria to want to take up more glucose and therefore reduces fat production inside the body. But what those are and what they do for you in terms of metabolic resistance training, I don't really care at this point whether they're adding size to the deltoids, or whether they're making your back stronger, or whether your hamstrings are balancing out with your quadriceps in terms of how you look or how you move, you perform. It's too soon for me to worry about physical performance and the look of your body. We've got to get you to normal body composition, and we do that by addressing it with exercise and fitness and dietary programs, and as well as things like supplements and lifestyle that actually address the inside chemistry of the body. That inside chemistry, when that gets fixed, will fix what's going on outside or visually on the body in terms of body composition and weight gain. Once we got that fixed and normalized, now we move on to the next step in the program. Now we move on to what are your goals for performance? What are your goals for the way you look and the way you feel? Now we can address the types of more traditional fitness programming that coaches and personal trainers are used to doing with their clients. But we need to change this concept that we do that up front, at least definitely with weight loss clients. We need to change this concept that that's the first thing we address is the outside physicality. We need to steer the client and educate them in understanding that they became overweight, they became deconditioned, and feel the way they do because of the inside body chemistry not being optimal at this point. And we have to address that first. So I hope that helps give you a new way to look at how to onboard a new client, how to take a look at their programming and what might be best for them. Now, that all being said, you need a system, you need a process. We have a system and process. We have a framework called DMAIC that we use to do this. We have assessments, we have tools, we have software. We have all kinds of products here at Six Sigma that help create this program, this system, if you will. And if you're interested in it, just shoot me a message or put a comment down below, and we can talk about it further. But in the meantime, start taking a look at your clients differently.